Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO. Good morning. Thank you so much for being a part of Missoula Real Estate Today this weekend. We always appreciate you being there, and we appreciate Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate bringing us interesting, fun guests to have every week, including this week. That would be Heather Schwenk and Kala Sylte. They're going to gang up on me today. We got two of them in here from Missoula Property Management. Welcome back to the show, right? You've been on before?
Yes, thank you so much for having us back.
Yeah, you're both veterans, right, Kala?
Yep, we're pros.
Okay, good. We need one of those in this studio. I'm happy about that. A little bit of history of Missoula Property Management, how long it's been around, and then how it came to be and all of that.
Sure. We have been in business since 2003. It's owned and operated by Sherry Featherly. We've managed a multitude of different types of properties, everything from HOAs, mobile home parks, multifamily, single family, some commercial, you name it, some HOAs in the past as well. And we actually just moved to a new location at 5735 West Harrier Drive just in the last couple of weeks.
And let's start with the landlord side. What are the advantages of having a property management company, to take care of my rentals for me?
Well, our systems are formulated for owners who want to be really hands-off. So you don't have to be involved. You get to be that neutral person outside of the day-to-day. You're not getting those 3 a.m. phone calls with maintenance issues. It's really an advantage to the tenant, so they have that person they can go to whenever they have needs. We're really full service, maintenance, general leasing, tenant complaints. We have a lot of options online. So we make it really easy for those tenants to operate and have their needs fulfilled with their housing. And as a landlord, you don't have to be bothered by that. A day-to-day, you get to live your life and have an investment property.
Well, you make it sound like a pretty easy sell. I know there's obviously, you don't do it for free and everything like that. So you negotiate some a certain percentage or rates with the landlord to get started on this.
Yes, yeah. So we operate off of either percentage or flat rate, depending what type of housing you're bringing, whether that's a multiplex or a single family. So we try to be reasonable and keep up with the market, make sure we're covering our costs, but as well as we understand, make it affordable so that people can rent out their homes.
Over to the prospective tenant, in what ways does it benefit them to go through the process as well?
For a prospective tenant, I think just having an educated staff there to take care of your needs. We have 10 licensed property managers on staff, and so they're all, very in the know on current laws and the things that are going on legislatively as well. And so for the tenant, having that peace of mind, knowing that things are going to be taken care of for them, they're not going to have to wait for a maintenance issue that they've reported. It's not going to be, weeks and weeks on end before something gets repaired. Everything's taken care of as it should be within a timely fashion. And I think also we have a lot of systems and procedures in place. So, once again, things are organized. There's communication there. They know they can always reach somebody, get a hold of somebody after hours if they have an emergency issue that comes up. So I think really it just comes down to peace of mind.
By law, on the books, tenants' rights, tenants' issues, have you seen that improve over the years?
Yeah, I do think in Montana, the laws do tend to be a little bit more sided on the tenants. So the tenants are well protected, with the Montana laws.
Yeah, all right. This is Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, and our guests, Heather Schwenk and Kala Sylte with Missoula Property Management. Okay, gal, so I own a house or an apartment. I want to rent it out. You want to rent it. Okay, that'll be X number of dollars a month, talking to the tenant here, landlord tenant. But that really scratches the surface. Where does Missoula Property Management go from there?
So once we brought a property onto our portfolio, we're going to do a thorough walkthrough of it, note anything pre-existing. When it comes to finding a tenant, we're very we have a very thorough application procedure, and that's protect the landlord and the tenant, make sure we find the best qualified individual for that home. We're very credit and income based when it comes to the application. We want to make sure that you can afford it and you have a good track record. We, throughout that time, when we first bring it on to when we're done managing, we want to make sure we keep it in good shape, make sure it's got maintenance continually done on it. We perform an inspection once a year at least to ensure the tenant's taking care of it. There's no outlying issues to be resolved. We try to do a very thorough job in all aspects.
Homeowners, apartment complex owners, or whatever, they're making property investments in a lot of ways. Are a lot of them out of town? People that you just don't have to deal with direct, or is that kind of a small portion of your client base?
They're all a little bit different.
Yeah.
We do have quite a few investors that are local, and so that can vary quite a bit. We do try to promote that it is hands-off. We are a full-service management company, and we are the professionals, and we want our property owners to trust us in taking care of their investment and know that we are acting as a partner with them to make sure their properties are well taken care of.
Yeah. Heather, since I have you on the microphone there, I know you're both qualified to answer this, but I forgot to ask you at the very beginning of the show, which is a real estate show sponsored by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, how you got on here. What's your relationship with Diane? I know this is not your first time on the show. You've been around a little bit.
Yes, I actually worked on the Beck team. I still work on the Beck team in some aspects. I have my real estate license. So outside of my property management job, I do work with buyers. And so I've worked with Diane now for 13 years.
Wow.
And so I've known Diane for a really long time, and she's been a mentor to me over the course of that time. And so she's been a good mentor and friend.
So here you are.
So here we are.
Yeah. Our new listings pretty tight right now. It seems like if you do find a potential place to live, I don't know, house, apartment, whatever, but you find a potential place to live, you don't want to drag your feet too much?
No, absolutely not. In fact, I would say that our current vacancy rate is around 2%. The national average is around 6%. And so with that being said, it is a hot market. And in particular, we currently don't have very many single-family properties available. So that's definitely a tight market. Those tend to go quite quickly. The way that we manage properties, we tend to have our leases all renewed by now because we don't want to have any potential vacancy during the winter months, particularly not over the holiday season. That's definitely much more difficult to rent then as people aren't moving around so much. So that's kind of typical for our market to see less vacancy this time of year.
Do you keep any kind of a waiting list in a database file? I tried to rent a house in October. It wasn't available, but I want to stay on the list and be a potential tenant somewhere in a house. Maybe something will come up at Missoula Property Management 4 or 5 months down the road.
Absolutely. We do have a prospect database. Tenants are also able to apply and be pre-approved, and their application is good for up to 6 months for any of our properties. Okay. We also have a dedicated staff member who all he does is sell our properties. He's out showing properties. I think that's a little bit unique to the Missoula market, that we actually have a dedicated salesperson out there beating the streets and helping people find the right suitable home.
How do they do that? I mean, what's the process for that? Where do they find people to go, make presentations to?
Well, I think it's a little bit more difficult in Missoula because there's not, I think in a lot of the larger states, there's more of a database that's compiled, and it is compiled with all the rental properties in the area, where here it's all company based. So, a lot of people are finding homes on Zillow or they're going on Craigslist. Our website is actually a really great place to look for rental properties. I think it's very user friendly. And so a lot of people are finding homes there.
Yeah. We will get into, I want you to talk more about your website toward the end of the show. It's very good, by the way.
Thank you.
I should tell you, this is Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, and our guests Heather Schwenk and Kala Sylte with Missoula Property Management. The application process, I think you would agree, it's pretty thorough. What is the template for that? Why why do you ask the questions you ask to determine whether a person's a worthy applicant?
Right. So I touched on this a little bit before, but to go more in depth, our main focus is we want to make sure we're finding the right fit for that home. Whether that's you have pets, when do you want to move in? What's your income? Is there a certain area of town? What's your credit history look like? What's your rental history look like? We're analyzing all those to make sure that this place is the best fit for you, as well as protecting the owner, making sure we're putting somebody in there that we can ensure pay rent and take care of the property. We look at credit and we look at income. We do ask for your income to be, this is gross, 3 times the rent. And I know in Missoula that's tough. We have a tough job industry here, but the main goal is to ensure that you have enough money at the end of the month to be paying your rent as well as your other expenses. With credit, we're looking at credit history, collections, judgments. Have you had past evictions? There are some things that are going to be denials, but we try to work with people the best we can. We want to be understanding of situations. We understand a lot of times people are coming from, they're reforming their lives. They're changing. They've had, an unfortunate past, and we want to help with that. So, but again, it's all just right fit. What can we get you into?
I suppose at least a couple of those can be answered if you go to the website, which is rentimmissoula.com, by the way, and you look and you see a house that's available for rent. And I got to believe that one of the primary things that many people look at is whether or not they're going to let me have my dog or my cat or both. That's one that's easily answered, but there's probably, and that's very common, isn't it?
Yes, a lot of people have animals. We're animal lovers ourselves. Majority of our properties are pet friendly. There are some that are not, but we try to accommodate, based on owner's wishes or what type of pet you have. So
exactly. What if it was a situation where somebody applied and you thought, wow, this is a gold star applicant here. This is somebody that you, the property owner, would want renting your place. We can just tell. We have that feel. But they have a dog. Do you go back to the homeowner and say, hey, is there any wiggle room there? You got any flexibility? Because we think you'd be very happy with this prospective tenant.
Oh, definitely. Unless there are some HOAs, if that home is an HOA that's restrictive of types of and number of animals or animals in general. But, if there's a great person applying and they have a pet, I will go to the owner in heartbeat and say, hey, you really should consider this. If they're a great individual with great credit income, their chance of, being a good pet owner, taking care of that property are extremely high, So, yeah, definitely.
The relationship between you and your client, the property owner, can they be as involved or uninvolved as they wish, or do you kind of have a policy of, hey, you hired us to do it, let us do it, okay?
Yeah, so we do really promote that we are the professional, and that's what they're hiring us for. We are taking that headache away from them. We're also acting as a middleman. We see that we have our owner client,
right,
but we also have our tenant client. And so we want to make sure that we're treating them both honestly and fairly. And that's, one of our goals at Missoula Property Management, I would say. And so a lot of times that's why the owner hires us, is to make sure that their property is being taken care of. They're maximizing their investment. We're getting good tenants in there. And we really want them to trust us with that. So there is some aspects that they can have involvement in, definitely, and that's a good discussion to have up front to make sure that we're a good fit for them.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we want them to trust that we're doing our job as the professional.
I think this circles back to what I believe it was Kala said a few minutes ago. When you do a walkthrough, you can probably establish a lot of the kind of the ground rules and guidelines there, right? If you do a thorough walkthrough, you're going to advise that prospective renter, the property owner, you're going to advise that property owner to say, hey, this is okay, but we see this is what you might be looking at down the road. There are a few things that are gray areas in terms of efficiency or quality, how well they're working, things like that. Probably very beneficial to advise the homeowner before they contract you to rent their place.
Yes, absolutely. We do have a checklist that we go through. So when we walk through the property initially, we are looking for any potential maintenance issues that might need to be addressed. Cleaning, it needs to be, clean and ready for the tenant to move into, because when the tenant moves out, we want to make sure that the tenant leaves it in that same condition as when they received it. And so carpets being shampooed is important, making sure that, safety is in place, that there's adequate smoke detectors, that there's carbon monoxide detectors if the property has gas or an attached garage. So we're looking at all of those things, and all of those things are safety measures to put in place in advance to know that the property is going to be taken care of, that the tenant's going to be happy. And in the long run, we're hoping that we can retain that tenant and that they'll stay in the property for years to come. And, that eliminates a lot of expense that comes with turnovers. So, all of those things that we have in place are part of the systems and procedures that we've established that we talked about earlier.
I don't know why this just popped into my head, and it's probably a silly question. It can't come up very often, but are there any of your clients that are homeowners that they want to rent their property, but are they looking at any sort of a rent to buy negotiation?
We don't do any of that, and I think that there is some of that does go on, but in a market as strong as the Missoula market is right now, there's really there's no need for that. It would definitely be something probably that some renters would appreciate. But if you want to buy or sell your home, I should say, if you want to sell your home, this market is hot, so you can sell your property.
Yeah, excellent point. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Our guests, Heather Schwenk and Kala Sylte with Missoula Property Management. Since we are doing a real estate show, gals, I've been mainly focused on house and apartment rentals, but how much of your business is also commercial business properties?
We do have a small percentage of commercial properties. Certainly for us, it seems that our niche tends to be more in the multifamily properties. We manage about 1,400 properties, but the primary bulk of that is residential.
Yeah. How many people does it take to manage 1,400 properties?
I believe right now with our maintenance company, we are around 23 or 24 employees. Yeah.
Is that enough, or do we have to put a help wanted ad in this show that you're doing here?
Well, we're always growing and changing.
Yeah, exactly.
Currently, we feel like we're definitely properly staffed for our workload.
Okay. A tenant calls and says, my toilet's not flushing, my furnace won't turn on, whatever. What makes Missoula Property Management a good company to have in your corner when there are those kinds of problems? And I'm sure that's part of your workaday world, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, yeah. So we offer a lot of online options for tenants. So if it's not an emergency and they have a maintenance request, they can submit that. It goes right to our maintenance department, and they can get on top of that issue right away. Emergency, even during the evenings and weekends, we have an after-hours service so that people can still call. They do a very good job at troubleshooting with that tenant, try to get them through until the next business day, just because we know after-hour maintenance can be very spendy. But, if it's needed, a vendor will get sent out. We have a very full staff maintenance team. They're kind of jack of all trades gentlemen, and they are very good at going out, troubleshooting issues, solving them. Sometimes we may need to get, an expert in there, but we really strive to be efficient and communicative to that tenant.
Kayla, come on. Every single tenant's problem is an emergency, right? Right?
There are some that definitely are.
There's no
but
such thing as will you come take care of it now?
Yeah, we always want to be reasonable and understandable. This
sure.
This is people's housing. This is where they live. They want to be comfortable. They want items to function. So we want to be reasonable and in everything. I say this again. It's all about the reasonableness of what you're asking.
I'm not trying to make light of that because this week is a pretty good example. I think Missoula's had an awful cold spell for late October and early November, and you probably get a lot of no heat calls. That's one that, we probably better not, put that one on hold.
No, definitely not. Those are taken very seriously. And it's not just, the tenant's comfort. It's, the functionality of the unit, the home. You don't want frozen pipes. You don't want long-term damage. So, unfortunately, and with the snow and ice, we want to make sure those places are well equipped for that.
I apologize if this question following up sounds repetitive, but there are probably some other things you didn't get an opportunity to address yet as far as what are some of the other daily challenges that a property management company faces that you at Missoula Property Management feel you take care of in an efficient manner?
Well, anytime you live in housing, especially in a multifamily situation where there's lots of people with different lifestyles living in a small area, you are going to have people complaining about noise or, issues with pets, other people's pets, not cleaning up their pet waste, parking problems, smoking issues. We deal with a multitude of different concerns from tenants. And then it's hard sometimes because you'll have, the tenant upstairs complaining about the tenant downstairs with a noise issue, but then the tenant downstairs says, no, it's the tenant upstairs. So, you're always doing your research and, asking certain questions and trying to get to the bottom of the issue. And then there's a certain amount of, reasonableness there. I mean, you might hear some degree of noise from your neighbor when you live in a multiplex, no matter how much insulation is in there. So, educating the tenant on what's reasonable, what's not. But then a lot of it just comes down to really listening to them and listening to their concerns, letting them know that we care, that we're there for them, just having a little empathy. And then just, maybe the neighbor doesn't realize that they are that loud. Maybe they didn't know the neighbor could hear.
But shoot, now, you now have to be judge and jury.
Absolutely.
On that deal.
We wear lots of hats in property management.
Are you Judge Heather, or is that Judge Kayla over there? Are you the two jury member? How does that get divided up?
Those actually, those complaints go to our property management team. So we have two teams within our company of property managers. One's our multifamily side, and the other deals more with the single family. And so we have team leaders, and then beneath those team leaders, we have the property managers. And so the way that we work it is Kayla and I are more on the owner relations side of things, and then we have our property management team, and they are strictly there to cater to the needs of our tenants. They are the relationship builders with the tenant.
How about success stories? Either one of you, or if both of you want to answer this question, that's great too. Anything that you've done recently that made you say, "Yeah, we are pretty dang good at this at Missoula Property Management"?
Well, you keep hearing us talk about our systems and procedures.
Yes,
We've been working really, really hard to have a solid systems and procedures in place for our company. I think that's one of the main reasons for our success. We also, I think, like I mentioned before, we've moved to a new location. That's a new building that we've constructed, and it's set up great for the type of business that we operate. We have a heated shop, for example, for our maintenance staff to use. I feel like that was a huge success for us. And we just continue to grow and evolve as we need to. So, yeah.
All right. Kayla, you want to add anything to that?
I was going to add, we're very team-oriented. We're one big team. We're all there to help. We have busy seasons, and it really helps us ensure that we can service our tenants, our owners, our vendors, because there's always somebody there that can help out. We have our roles and our positions and our primary, but we're always there to step in. Heck, I'll step in to help someone up front, if they need it. It's just important that we work as a team and together.
Hey, we want to say thank you to Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate for sponsoring the program, and some of Diane's marketing partners that help bring you Missoula Real Estate today. Rob Fleming with Man Mortgage, Miles Link of Opportunity Bank of Montana, and Carol Blodgett from MakeItMissoula.com. Our guests, Heather Schwenk and Kala Sylte with Missoula Property Management. And, talking to you the last 20-plus minutes here, to me, property management company, I don't mean specifically Missoula Property Management, but obviously you qualify for this. Property management company, it equals, in my mind, listening to you, it equals credibility. If I am selecting a property management company, maybe I'm really, really busy, and it would be tough to do it on my own, or I live out of market or whatever. But that aside, I think what you're saying is that I care enough about my property that I'm going to hire, I'm going to partner with somebody like your company. And that's just a kudo to you.
Thank you.
So you can say thank you, and yes. I agree 100%. Okay. Where is Missoula and surrounding areas statistically on ratios? Do we have an unusually high number of renters compared to homeowners, or just the opposite, or about average? And whatever the answer is, I'll ask you to explain why you think that is.
I do think we have a higher ratio of tenants, and a lot of that is driven from the university. There's a lot of students that come into the area that need rental or temporary housing. I also think that, our current market for sales, makes it a little bit more difficult for a first-time home buyer or somebody to buy because, it's expensive out there. Costs have gone up, and it's expensive to purchase a home in Missoula. So a lot of times that means that somebody has to rent a property instead.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's, the primary reason for that.
Yeah, we talk often on this program, obviously, about the median price of a house in Missoula and the surrounding area. And it does come in rather high. What about rentals? What about rental fees? Where are they statistically?
Well, rent is also high in Missoula,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of that comes with what it costs to build a property here in Missoula if you can find the land to even build it on. And the cost of property taxes in Missoula are all factors in why the rents go up.
Yeah.
So rent is definitely on the rise and has been for quite some time. And a lot of that really is due to the cost to build and maintain a property.
Yeah. There's the realtor in you coming out. Yeah. Not so much lamenting, but just observations. That's
Absolutely.
where we're at. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Our guests Heather Schwenk and Kala Sylte with Missoula Property Management. Okay, let's before we get to the location, because I can tell you're proud of that, and I'm curious to know why you had to relocate. But let's talk a little bit about the website. What helpful features will we find when we visit rentinmissoula.com?
Oh, gosh, you can find pretty much everything you need.
You've got time.
Yeah. So we recently, I think it's been a year and a half, maybe more, redid our whole website, and we wanted to make it visually appealing, easy to navigate. Any more people want to go online and look at something beforehand. Yeah. So we have everything from available rentals to tenant resources. We have online tenant logins so they can pay rent, submit maintenance requests, tenant complaints. You can submit a 30-day notice. We have a lot of that. Yes, we do have the virtual tours of properties as well. So
that's just kind of an expectation anymore.
Yeah,
isn't it?
you want to go on a website and you want it to be full service and get everything you need from there. And then maybe you need to call or email about something simple, but you can get as much information as needed from it. So, and for owners too, we have a great owner section to help answer questions. If you have a request for market analysis for us to assess your home, you can submit that. So, it's all around great.
I did not get as much time as I wanted to spend on it when I looked at it, but yeah, I could tell it was really, really well done. Again, rentinmissoula.com. And you have just you mentioned your new location. Where were you? Where are you? What predicated a move? Why did Missoula Property Management decide they needed to be somewhere else?
Well, we were located over on Great Northern Loop, and we were at that location for quite a number of years. And recently, in the last couple of years, our maintenance staff was moved off site so that they could have more space. Okay. We needed the space. And then we decided that, we really need to be back together.
Yeah.
So we built a property that is suited for our company to work as efficiently as possible. And like I had said before, now we have a nice heated shop for our maintenance crew to work out of, and we're all in one location again. So kumbaya, we're back together. Yeah.
I could see where that disconnect would have been, maybe not a problem, but frustrating for you.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to communicate with our maintenance team face to face.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's and then just having a place for them to work, that they can work as efficiently as possible, really helps our owners and our tenants as well. So it just made sense for us.
All right, well, give us the radio roadmap. Where is Missoula Property Management now located?
Sure. We're at 5735 West Harrier Drive, so we're just off of Airport Boulevard, so kind of out by the airport, basically. Yeah.
And we're not going to go shopping there. It's not some place where a lot of people come in, but I guess they're welcome if they have any questions for you or anything like that.
Absolutely. We realize that it's not as convenient as our old location, but we have put a lot of things in place, such as having our dedicated leasing agent out there meeting tenants to show them properties so they don't necessarily have to come into the office, alongside with our new website that's been improved so that the tenants can have the convenience of going online and doing whatever they need to do without coming out to the office, including pay their rent. So there really isn't a need for them to come all the way out there, although we'd love to see their faces. We try and make it as convenient as possible for them to be able to do things from the comfort of their own home or to meet with one of our licensed property managers or our leasing agent to view a property right on site.
Heather Schwenk and Kala Sylte with Missoula Property Management on Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. You've done great. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Denny.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today. Contact Diane Beck with Windermere Real Estate. Email dianebeck@realtor.com or visit her website, homesinmissoula.com. That's homesinmissoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.